Have you ever noticed that inner voice that follows you through every moment of your life? Sometimes soft, other times deafening, always questioning your most intimate secrets and hardest decisions. That voice can be ally or tormentor. But is it truly yours? Or fragments inherited, echoes of others you took as truth? Today we won't speak of silencing it, but of transforming it. Welcome to Free Mind. Subscribe and join us on this journey. Every human being we meet, through subtle gestures or profound silences, carries invisible scars. Wounds that don't appear on the skin, hidden pains beneath routine, battles only they truly know. Outward appearances rarely reveal the vastness of what lives inside. That's why kindness is never unnecessary. It reaches where our eyes can't, reminding us that everyone fights silent wars. Life doesn't appear as something finished and flawless, but as a constant process of falling, choosing, and rebuilding. Behind every apparent victory lies a backstage of doubts and failures. Behind every certainty is a labyrinth of hesitation. Even in familiar gazes, fragments of secret stories rest, pieces never fully revealed. We are unfinished narratives, always in motion. It's not the wounds themselves that define who we become, but how we choose to face them. Pain can build walls that imprison the heart, or serve as raw clay teaching us to shape new ways of existing. Paradoxically, what once seemed to destroy us can become the very material that strengthens our essence, opening pathways to a more conscious, resilient life. To reframe is not to pretend suffering doesn't exist. It isn't escape, nor shortcut. It is to face the wound without letting it frame our entire existence. It is learning to see in shadow the possibility of a lesson, and in loss, the opportunity to awaken compassion and wisdom. This act of transmuting is one of the deepest arts of the human soul. Within us echoes a persistent narrative, and often we believe it to be our own voice. Yet many times it's nothing more than old recordings, harsh criticism we internalized, external demands we mistook for truth, memories repeating like a broken record. Ancient voices keep playing in the present, blurring the line between what we really think and what we've been taught to believe. These inner voices, inherited from the past, whisper that we are unworthy, that failure is inevitable, that we don't deserve love or success. They feed on our insecurities and deepest fears, but we must remember these stories are not absolute truths. They are only shadows of what has passed, old imprints that remain alive only when we keep giving them space in our minds. The most powerful inner change doesn't begin with shouts of rebellion, but with silent gestures of tenderness. It starts when we choose to replace the harsh gaze we turn on ourselves with genuine compassion. To treat yourself as someone who deserves patience, understanding, and care is revolutionary. It's learning to shield yourself from the inner judgment that wounds so deeply. Reflect for a moment. If someone you deeply love came to you fragile in tears, how would you respond? Would you criticize their mistakes, or would you open your arms, offering silence and shelter? Would you cut their broken wings, or remind them of the strength still within? The answer reveals less about them, and more about how we treat ourselves. Most likely your response would be to comfort them. You'd offer words of encouragement, remind them of their virtues and reaffirm their essential worth. But why then do we deny ourselves this same tenderness? Why are we safe harbor for others, yet so often a storm against our own soul? This contradiction shows the urgency of turning compassion inward too. To love yourself is not vanity or narcissism. It is the invisible foundation that sustains emotional health. It is the silent fuel that gives us courage to face hard days. Without that intimate care, even great victories feel empty, for there's no inner presence to celebrate them. Self-love is survival of the soul. It keeps us standing strong amid life's storms. We also need to transform our idea of progress. Falls are not isolated failures, but necessary steps on the path. Failure does not mark an ending. It lays hidden foundations beneath frustration. Each stumble carries within it an opportunity to learn, visible only once we rise and look back with new eyes and new awareness. Every mistake, no matter how painful, carries a lesson within. Rejection, when accepted without despair, redirects our path, closing doors that didn't serve us and opening ones aligned with who we are. What seems like an unmovable obstacle exists to strengthen parts of us still asleep. In what looks like regression hides the impulse to evolve. The core of a full life asks something simple yet challenging: to live according to what we truly love. There is no greater prison than wearing a mask imposed by others, following scripts written by external expectations, suffocating the desires rising from the heart. In the gap between who we are and who we pretend to be lies the exhaustion of the soul. When the soul finds resonance in what we do, time loses its weight. Work ceases to be mere obligation and becomes an extension of essence. Routine gains meaning as it turns into authentic expression of our being. Each gesture, no matter how small, becomes part of a greater work, where effort and joy are not opposites, but merge in harmony. But reaching that flow demands courage. Courage to accept inevitable falls, to rise countless times, to believe even when every door seems shut. Life sometimes offers only a narrow crack of light, and we must crawl through it until clarity returns. To persist is an essential part of inner alignment, and it is the seed of every transformation. The true value of life doesn't arise from fleeting applause, but from the intimate flame that refuses to go out. Greatness is not measured by external recognition, but by silent fidelity to our path. Everything we do with genuine love, whether grand or simple, remains as legacy, because it bears the indestructible mark of authenticity. Much of human suffering comes from a restless mind, unable to rest. We wander between catastrophic futures invented by anxiety and heavy pasts revisited by guilt. In this mental prison, we drift far from real life. Stuck in places that no longer exist or haven't yet arrived, we forget to inhabit the only space possible, the now. Life, in its essence, only unfolds in the present, in the simple act of breathing, of feeling air move in and out. Eternity condenses. The past is memory, the future, imagination. Only this instant has color, taste, texture. Only here can we truly exist, touch, feel, and live fully. The present is the only solid ground we ever stand on. That's why cultivating presence is not cliché. It is a radical act of freedom. It means choosing to experience life as it happens, rather than losing ourselves in ghosts of what has been or projections of what may come. To be aware of now is to turn off autopilot, to reclaim authorship of the moment, to savor the rare gift of being alive. How many times have you felt like a lost boat at sea, carried away by currents of duty, pressure, and routine, as if life happened without real control of the helm? That drifting feeling is more common than we imagine, and it arises when we stop looking inward, when we forget the essential compass of our being. This sense of losing direction comes from silencing our inner voice. Intuition, buried under layers of should and must, no longer guides our choices. Without it, we sail without a true port, at the mercy of external winds. It is the absence of that intimate compass that makes us prisoners of circumstances, distant from a destiny truly our own. Every human being carries within a unique universe. Inside rest timid dreams, deep fears, hidden desires, and intertwined memories. Our personal story is an unrepeatable constellation. Exploring this inner space is the most necessary, yet often neglected, adventure of human life. The invitation is ancient and eternal: know thyself. The search for essence is not found in the external chase for achievements, possessions, or validation. The path is always inward. It is silent, solitary, and courageous. It is not measured by speed, but by depth. By diving within, illuminating forgotten shadows, we discover the true self beyond masks imposed by the world. Self-knowledge is not a final destination. There is no diploma of completed self. It is an ongoing process, renewed with each lived experience, each pain endured, each layer uncovered. It is a spiral, ever ascending, carrying us to new perspectives. With each step, we expand horizons of consciousness, realizing there is no end to learning. Edmund Hillary, upon reaching Everest's summit, said something profound. "It is not the mountain we conquer, but ourselves." This phrase reveals the true human challenge. Outer mountains are symbols. The hardest climb always happens within, facing fears, insecurities, and invisible limits we ourselves created. The greatest victory is not over others, nor in titles or trophies. The essential conquest is freeing ourselves from inner chains. It is dissolving irrational fears, breaking limiting beliefs, pacifying the turbulent landscapes of the mind. This inner overcoming echoes through every area of life, transforming how we exist. When we face our inner storms, we don't become immune to pain. It will always be part of the human condition. But we discover we are greater than it. We learn we can hold the storm without letting it destroy us. Life then ceases to be only weight and becomes a path lived with more clarity, courage, and purpose. Right now, as you take a deep breath, you can choose which voice to hear. The old one that limits and imprisons, or the new one that encourages and frees. This choice, repeated at every moment, transforms destinies. It is not a sudden, permanent change, but a constant exercise, deciding with every breath which story will guide your life. Remember, this imperfect instant is the only real gift that exists. Don't waste energy reliving an unchangeable past or getting lost in uncertain futures. Straighten your body, breathe deeply, fill yourself with presence, and declare, "Today is a good day to begin again." If this message resonated with you, subscribe to Free Mind. Each week is a chance to expand your consciousness